What is up guys, the Strong Boys 19 here. So this is going to be another album review for this segment, Classic Albums Revisited. And I did promise you guys that I will be reviewing this album in honor of its 25th anniversary, and it is 1 month later after it happened, so I am awfully late to the party. But I feel really glad to do it, because I will be reviewing an album that is more metal related, and I would like it to be heavily consistent of reviewing metal albums as much as the usual rock, experimental, jazz and other styles albums. But for this review I'm going to be talking about Emperor's debut album entitled In the Nightside Eclipse. This is the 20th anniversary edition. It's got 2 discs, and this is a fantastic release, so I highly recommend this. What can be said about this album? Out of all of the black metal discussions and albums that many metal fans talk about, this has been highly regarded as one of the most loved and celebrated albums in the genre. Besides other black metal bands of Burzum to Bathory, Mayhem and others, Emperor is really no exception, especially with this album. So Emperor are a Norwegian black metal band, and this is their first album released via Candlelight Records in 1994, 48 minutes in length, and it has 9 tracks. So this is still holding up to this day of one of my favorite albums of all time and in metal personally, because it is one of these albums that not only that I love, it's one of the metal albums that has a sound of its own. You ever really get that feeling of that moment when you listen to other albums that have a sound of their own? But I just really have that kind of feeling with In the Nightside Eclipse. So from the moment you hear the introduction to hear the last bars of the last track, the entire album is still strong, sounding fresh and completely fantastic to this very day. The artwork is simply one of my all-time favorites. It is absolutely beautiful. It has so much to look at, with the details to the overall look of it. And the lyrical content on this album is pretty much inspired by different things, references of the Eastern Europe, folklore, story of Dracula to Transylvania. There is quite a lot of influences lyrically on this album, but I think that it suits the whole thing perfectly, and the production of this has got a really big experience. What I mean by that is that from the moment you put it on, the sound is completely huge, and it remains so consistent from start to finish. And not only that, the symphonic elements on this release are really, really strong. And this has been a talked about album for its symphonic elements. The aggressive sound that is completely full with fast riffs, tremolo picking, brutal sounding drums to the vocals. The vocals on this, outstanding, clear with a lot of these high screams. It's a perfect combination, and no wonder this has been celebrated as one of the most influential albums in the black metal genre. And you know, the best thing about In the Nightside Eclipse, it has a delivery that there's no other black metal band that could really pull it off. You know, other black metal bands have a sound of their own with a lot more of the doomier and darker meaning sound, but with a band like Emperor, I wouldn't say they wouldn't change it too drastically. They do have a sound of their own with some of the influences that no other black metal band could really do, and that's why I do like Emperor for this kind of time when they made this album. But overall, you cannot really ignore this album because of its high influence for many future bands and musicians to come, and there isn't really much needed to discuss about this since it is completely positive when it comes to metal fans alone. Some outstanding production, the guitar sounds completely gnarly, gritty in places, drums to the vocals, as I said, being fantastic. You know, that's just pretty much all I want to say about In the Nightside Eclipse by Emperor. So let me know what you think about this release in the comments below, and it is still one of these albums that I would come back to, not only to support the black metal genre, but as a debut album, it really still stands the test of time as a very important, phenomenal release. I couldn't recommend this record enough. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll keep you guys posted for more videos in the near future.